If you love cars like we do, and you look at cars all the time like we do, there's something very satisfying about sharing that with other people. And Flipping Bangers, the TV series, has been so popular. There's been a lot of people asking us for more stuff.
More stuff is coming, but we are waiting to see what the news is going to be on season 4. So we thought we'd do a podcast in the meantime so that people can see what we're actually up to.
Everyone likes a podcast, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Well, certainly people say they do.
Well, it's a good thing because we get to see more cars and we get to go and look at other people's cars. It doesn't really matter if they're for sale. Sometimes it's enough just to look over it and say, you know, this might be a car that we'd like to do in the future.
Yeah, I get it. So we'll go through the process. We look at the car, what it stands for, what we know about those cars, how it presents.
And conclude with giving it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Would we buy this car to flip?
I got it. And that sounds like something that I'd listen to.
Yeah, me too. Morning, Gus.
Ah, Will, you caught me. You didn't see it, did you?
No, I didn't. I think you just covered the last corner as I popped my head around the corner.
Excellent. Well, here it is. And I think, actually, this is quite difficult because I think this is a very, very generic shape. With a cloth on it.
Yeah, I'm already starting to try and work it out. Yeah, nice cloth, by the way. You've done a good job. Not too many wrinkles.
Well, it's your cloth, you know that.
I do, yeah. The generic car cover. I can see that we've got a pretty big car here.
Yes.
To me, I would say estate car.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That you don't think this is an SUV?
No, I think it's more your sort of shooting brake, really.
What's a shooting brake?
Well, it's an old-fashioned word, isn't it?
Yeah, I like
for
it.
an estate, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll take the shooting brake.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice shape to it.
Mm-hmm.
What can I say? Well, it's difficult to work out. Are you going to give me any clues?
I hadn't thought about giving you any clues. What sort of thing do you want me? What sort of clue would you like? I mean, I can think of a few things.
How old is it?
It's. Oh, without looking at the number, I think it's 09, I think.
You've forgotten, haven't you?
Well, it's not mine. It's not mine.
You're going to have a sneaky peek under the corner. I can see it's black.
Yes.
It's got alloy wheels. It's got pretty big tyres on it.
Yeah.
Looking at something which is shooting brake shaped, estate car shaped.
Yeah.
But looks.
Come on, I can give you a clue if you want me. If you want.
I would like a little clue.
Okay. What would you like me to? What clue would you like?
Well, okay. Is it non-European?
Okay. Here's the clue.
Yeah.
It's Japanese.
Aha. Toyota by any chance?
Well, mother company Toyota, yes.
Mother company Toyota.
Oh, come on, I'm just going to get everyone out. Take everyone out their misery. There we go.
I was just about to say it's a Lexus.
You weren't!
I was!
Okay.
Obviously I was.
Okay.
It was on the tip of my very tongue.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Lexus.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Oh, wow, that's quite a car, isn't it? It's big, but it's not big. I bet that felt a lot bigger in its day.
Yeah. Well, the reason I thought this car was interesting is because Kira had one for work, and she bought it brand new, and she ran it for 10, 11 years. So she did 250,000 miles in it.
Have I got to walk to the back to find out what model it is?
You have, because I have no idea.
Toyotas, yes, 250,000 miles, yes.
Yes.
But I want to know what it says at the back. It says Lexus RX 400H. Limited edition.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that. I knew it was a 400H, but I didn't know that it was a limited edition. I suppose that probably pertains to the chromium-plated handles on the doors.
Yes, and the fact that it says hybrid on the side as well.
Yes. Well, it's
hybrid in 09.
Well, these came out, I think these came out in 2004. And I think it was the first hybrid system in a luxury car. Because they had the Prius, didn't they?
Yes.
Prius had a hybrid system in it.
Yes.
But I think this was the first luxury car with a hybrid. And it was this shape. This shape came out in 2000, I think it was 2004, 2005, on the cusp. And and you still see them. You still see these cars around at 2005 plates, definitely.
I would say, saying this car came out in sort of 04-ish, it stands the test of time quite well.
Yes.
The looks
the design,
of this,
you mean?
The design,
yeah.
the shape of the car.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be sort of aging in that way that cars normally do. So I know around about that time, there was this horrible sort of fashion for having those sort of like bubbly-looking headlights.
Yes.
Which it doesn't have. This has quite modern-looking headlights with with the bullseye lens.
Yeah, it's got
arrangements.
Xenon high beams as well.
Yeah.
I always think about a friend of mine who did a degree course in car design, and he did this project where he took the number plates and the badges off of photographs from the front of cars, and would ask people, do you know what sort of car this is? You know, had a range of 10 cars, and it was really difficult to work out what was what. Everything looked the same. But I think if you ignored the badge and not so much the number plate, I suppose, but just the badge, you wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't think this was a BMW or a Mercedes, would you? It's got something about it.
If I couldn't see either of those two telltale giveaways, badge and number plate, I'd look at the front of that and I think, do you know what, I think that looks slightly American looking, possibly a little bit Chrysler looking.
Well, I guess the American thing was an issue with them because they sold a lot of them in America, didn't they?
Right, that might have been part of their styling.
Yeah.
It is a good looking car. I like it. You know, you've got a lot at the front, and it's got a whacking great bumper on it. It has a lot of presence about it.
Yeah.
But also that lovely, sleek, sort of go faster look to the roof as well. You know, the roof slopes down towards the back it's like a great big, hot, sleek hatchback. Is that being over gracious?
Well, it might be. I think they'd be very pleased with that. But the reason I bought it was because when Kira had hers, so I'd say we had one because we used it as a family car, but she used to use it to run up to London in, and it's with the hybrid system that it has, it runs below 20 miles an hour. It runs on electric, so she'd be going up to town and back on electric effectively, and then when she got onto the A3 to come home, it would go on to petrol, and it was a fantastically reliable car. And I know that nobody should admit to this, but she had it all that time. So she had hers for 10 or 11 years, I think. And it was brand new when she bought it, done 250,000 miles when she sold it. And she never got it serviced. She never once got it serviced. I used to top up the oil, and I changed the oil.
This might invalidate your warranty.
Well, it's long gone. She owned that car for its whole life. It was an amazing motor vehicle.
Where's it gone? I mean, gold has sold gone, or sold as in gone to the heaven scrapyard?
It's gone to heaven scrapyard, yeah. By the end, it had it.
250,000 miles,
It's a lot of miles, isn't it?
Is it?
It's brilliant, isn't it? There's not many cars that would do that, I don't think, anymore. I really don't.
No, there's not. I mean, I think they say with... it's another Toyota or Toyota family, the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
I think their advertising for those is that they'll do 250,000 miles.
Is it?
With little servicing.
Wow.
Over that time. So.
Well, she's testament to that.
Yes.
You shouldn't admit to it. I mean, I did change the oil in it.
You've got to do that.
Yeah.
So I think with Toyotas, and this is... Okay, so Lexus and Toyota worked together to produce this car.
Shall we just say again what this car is? It's a Lexus RX 400h, isn't it? Which is their first attempt at the hybrid system in a sort of SUV. Is this an SUV? I suppose it is, isn't it?
It's a micro
SUV.
utility. I mean, that's opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's call this an SUV.
Okay.
Or a small one.
Yeah.
It's a cool car.
A small utility vehicle. Okay, well, that's what the car is. That's what we're talking about. So it's got a, I think, 3.2 litre V6. It's a proper engine in there.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think about the dynamics of this, as in the mechanical side. So you've got engine. You must have some sort of generator. You must have some sort of battery pack, gearbox, and rear axle. What do you know about those? Because I know very little.
I don't know a lot, but I obviously last night looked up how the system works, and I have done bits and pieces of this car. So, but basically, there's the engine, and then there's the generator. So, and then the generator generates the batteries. This is a self-powered hybrid, so you don't plug it in. So the engine powers the generator powers the batteries. And then when you're going under 20 miles an hour, the batteries power the rear wheels.
Okay.
So that's the basics.
So I give it a bit of welly, at 20 miles an hour and above, the conventional gearbox kicks in and then drives the rear axle.
CVT gearbox on this as well.
Oh, that's one of those posh ones with a lovely, smooth, progressive change to them.
Yeah, it's constant, isn't it? It's amazingly smooth. It is amazingly smooth. And also, I think, if you're accelerating hard, the electric kicks in to compensate for the sort of gearbox lag. Do you know what I mean? So it makes it it's a very clever system. I mean, the fact that they used it from 2004 up, and this is 2009, and they were still, I mean, I don't know what the system is now, but this car went on for, I think this went to 2010. That's a long run for technology, isn't it?
Well, it is, but Toyota have got a habit of making things well.
Yes,
so
that's
once they get a good design, they tend to stick with it.
Yeah.
And they tend to sell billions of them. I always think with Toyotas or anything from that sort of, from the Toyota stables, as it were, and I think this comes into that bracket, a Toyota will go out of fashion long before it wears out.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you with that. Yeah,
which I think's a real pity, because you know, you and I are both of the same sort of idea that you should be able to get 200,000 miles out of a car.
Yeah, well,
easily.
it's a thing, isn't it? That's the yardstick, isn't it?
It is.
But when it happens with something, I think if you and I owned a car, then you would expect that, because you work on it, you nurse it through, you know what's going wrong with it, you expect it, anticipate it, and you do all those things. But when somebody, and this isn't derogatory to my wife in any way, shape, or form, but she just gets in a car and drives it. Yeah. And if a light comes up, she gets it sorted out.
Yeah.
Somehow that seems stranger that it's done that amount of miles with somebody who's just used it as a machine, which is
Toyota.
Well, exactly.
So that's Toyota all the way through.
I think so.
I think is the biggest, the best, one of the greatest sort of celebrations about them, apart from the fact they do build pretty awesome cars as well. This is a nice looking car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's standing the test of time quite well.
And then that's all. That's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? Whether you think this is nice looking. Or...
Yeah, I think I'm relatively easily pleased. I mean, no, not to be horrible. I think that stood the test of time quite well.
It's easy on the eye, isn't it?
It is easy on the eye. It's a nice looking car. It's relatively understated as well, considering it is a luxury car.
Yeah.
And this would have been competing, you know, with some pretty serious other luxury cars out there as well.
Well, BMs and the Mercs, I suppose. That's what that was their. I think Mercedes was their big thing. The big. The big Mercedes SUVs. But interestingly, this was quite maligned for its handling and its dynamic capabilities when it came out. And it's got a... I don't know if they made any manual ones. I assume they didn't make manual ones, in actual fact. I would have thought they only made automatic ones. And that was always the thing with me, when she had it and we used it as a family car, it was an automatic, and it was the first automatic that really I'd come to terms with. And you know that whole... coming to terms with automatic.
Yes.
And I loved it. In the end, I loved it.
Well, okay, so are you coming from the position like, oh no, I'm a real driver and I must always have a clutch on the floor and a gear stick so I can have the proper, true driving experience.
Yes. Yeah. But that's that's a young man's thing, isn't it?
It is. You get to the point, and I'm at it. I'm in my early 50s.
Yeah, I'm well past it.
I've always hated automatics. They're not real drivers, gearboxes. But now... I love it. I love an automatic gearbox. I wouldn't want to be without one in my life.
But what sold it to me was the fact that you get in it and you drive it to the south of France and you get out of it and you're completely fresh still. I mean, it's amazing for that, this vehicle.
And sitting in, city traffic as well.
Yeah.
Not having to push a great big heavy clutch to the floor all of the time.
Yeah. Well, we have that whole thing about if you're driving a car with a gearbox, with us, it's a relatively old car, isn't it? And like the old Land Rover and that, and double declutching and getting it smooth. And that's the art for me now. It's nothing about, racing anywhere. It's about the smoothness and the mastery of it, almost. Do you know what I mean?
You're driving a series gearbox without any synchro on first and second.
Yeah.
Getting that gear change just right, going from second back down into third without crunching, smashing,
without the crunch,
anything nasty.
Yeah.
Even going up through the gears, there's a little art.
Just
waiting that moment and letting it plop into place.
There is. There's something about driving an awkward car smoothly, isn't there? I mean, it's satisfying, isn't it? But you don't want to. You don't want to.
You don't want to do that on the way to the south of France.
No, you don't. You don't. You absolutely don't. It's a great car for that.
With that in mind, that's where the hybrid works really well. You've got engine, generator, no plug-in. So because there's this world, isn't there? Even now, You know, we're 2024, where people are still worried about completely electric cars. They still think they won't
it's a
make
thing, isn't
them.
it? The anxiety is a thing, and I've got a friend who comes down sometimes, and it's a constant. Oh, can I plug in for a bit? Because I'm not sure whether I'm going to get home or not. Yeah,
it's not just because they want cheap electric or free electric. They're
I
actually
charge
still worried.
Yeah, no, of course,
I know
of course I don't.
Your nose is getting bigger.
But it's a thing, isn't it? It's a thing, and with this, you're completely at ease because you're always, as long as you've got petrol in it, you're going to be fine. And I wonder if that's why they've stood the test of time, because they're acceptable, aren't they? It's the acceptable way of doing it. If you're poodling up to the King's Road, you'll be on electric power, so that's fine.
You're actually making me want one of these now.
Well, they're affordable, aren't they now?
Are they?
Yeah.
Well,
So
we'll
when
come
this
to that. Are we going to come to that now?
Well,
We're gonna come to that in a
I
bit?
think that when this was new, it was 45,000.
Whoa, that's a whopping amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's a luxury car. I mean, if it's contending with the BMWs and the Mercedes of the similar bracket, then that's what it's going to cost.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll come to the value of it in a bit.
Okay. Shall we... Are you saying we should do a commercial break?
Well, I think it would be about time to advertise the fact that we need a commercial break, because we always need a nice cup of tea and some biscuits.
Yes.
And if anybody would be interested in sponsoring our commercial break and promoting themselves at the same time, we could have a beautiful symbiotic relationship. It's the point of a podcast.
I like it. Great. Okay, well, let's call it a day there, and then we'll come back and get the car in, shall we?
Cup of tea?
Yeah. Right, so here we are back with our Lexus RX 400H, 09 plate.
09, yeah. And we need to have a look at it to see, is this car worth buying? Is this the sort of thing we can flip and make a profit on?
Absolutely a profit. That's the game we play.
You know the owner of this car.
Yes.
And why are we being offered it for sale?
I think they've got a new one.
Right. So this is surplus to requirements.
They've got a new. They bought the new version of this.
Have they?
Yeah.
That's a really good sign.
Yeah.
You know,
when you've had a car that's been this good, you do naturally gravitate to buying the next one, don't you?
You would do, naturally. Well, let's give it a look around, because I've already spotted some reasons why you might want to sell this car, or at least not pay the bills on what it needs.
Yeah, well, let's just do the outside first, shall we? And then we'll have a look underneath it. We'll get the jack and have a look underneath it. But have we said that it's black? I don't think we have.
I don't think we have.
It's shiny black. Well,
that's got good sales potential, because people still like black cars.
Do they?
Well, they look luxurious. They look like the posh ones.
They do look like the posh ones, don't they? And I mean, it's a nice coat of paint, and I don't think it's had any work done to it. I think it's quite a genuine car.
So currently we're on the front near side corner.
Yeah.
Let's walk backwards down this side.
Is it just worth mentioning the fact that the lights are doing the thing that all lights do in the end? They get that sort of rather opaque, yellowish tinge to them, which, as we know, you can polish out. You can polish out quite cheaply with T-Cut, actually. But you can get a kit which does it beautifully, can't you?
I think the kit's the way to go on that. But if you needed to go low budget, T-Cut or cutting compound works beautifully well.
Yeah.
Near side front wing, there's a tiny bit of damage on the front of the arch of the steel part of the wing.
That's interesting. I was looking at that thinking it was a leaf sticking out the gap, but actually it is a crack, isn't it, in the paint?
I'm going to need paint.
Don't forget, let's both of us bear in mind, but I am erring towards you, let's not pick too much at these things, because it's not our car.
No, it's... Oh, yeah, what are you trying to say?
No, we've got to point them out, because that's the game we play.
Yeah.
But let's not get our fingers in there and pick too much paint off.
Are you thinking I've got a habit of sort of picking at things until they...
I'm thinking I've got to give this car back.
you don't want to have to go back and say, it was Will. He was the one that poked a hole
Honestly,
in it.
it wasn't me. Right, come on, yeah. So that needs a bit of paint, doesn't it? That's a bit annoying, isn't it? But a car of this age, you'd probably get away with touching that up, wouldn't you?
That's a small area. So let's say that's 1.5 inches long, 1/4 inch wide. It's on the corner of the wing. Little quick touch up, bit of a fettle, and I think we'd be good there.
And this wheel's had a little bit of curbing, hasn't it? But it's not too bad at all.
Are we really worried about that on an 09 car?
Well, you have to have a bar somewhere, don't you?
You do,
and it's there. So whether we worry about it or not, yes, I agree with you.
That I can see, that disc.
Yes, that disc is not good, is
There
it?
is some visible wear on that disc. So the disc is goosed. I would say the pads have got to be changed with the disc as well. So that's one corner, which means it's
Probably the other corner
the
as well.
the other corner
Yeah.
too. You
Yeah.
do these things in pairs. Moving backwards.
Wing mirror's got a lot of, and this is very common round we are, the hedges are very, very close, and there's a lot of moving over to let cars pass. So that's a very common thing.
Yeah.
The scratches on the wing mirror, basically. And it looks like a bush as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the scratch, the 2 foot long scratch down the door, which I would say that's a polish.
I think that's a polish out, because that looks like an ad rather than a takeaway, doesn't it? You see what I mean?
Yeah, there's, yes, it does. You know, where the bit of stick is still left attached to the car.
Yeah.
Pads, from what I can see, the rear brake pads, well, just over halfway through their life. So that's a job on the list. I can see the damper here. That looks okay. Well, it doesn't look like it's leaking.
It doesn't look like it, does it?
It's quite shiny. The spring looks nice and clean, and there's still a good coat of paint on it. Doesn't appear to be going rusty underneath, which is nice.
There's more. Oh,
Oh, that comes off.
that comes off. That's not. It looked like a. Oh, well.
Ah.
It looked. I was looking at the filler cap, saying, "Well, it looked like a scratch," but it's actually rubbed off. But then we've moved to the rear 3/4, and the back light seems to be broken. And I'm really hoping that hasn't happened. Actually, no, because it's green, isn't it? So I was just saying, I'm really hoping that hasn't happened since I've borrowed the car. But in actual fact, you can see that it's been like it for quite a long time.
That rear light is very, very broken. I mean, it still works.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a safe journey home.
Well, look, it's a cover in actual fact. It's a cover that goes over the lenses. But the trouble is with things that are broken, sometimes people don't notice them. If Jamie gets in the car from the other side every morning, he might not notice that's broken until I take it back.
Points it out, yeah. For a moment then, I thought you were thinking about that as a sales technique, and I'm glad you're not. Okay, rear, near side tail light on the wing.
I think we can sum up this whole side, the near side, can't we, by saying that it's been very close to lots of hedges. There's lots of scuffs, all of which I think, maybe not that one, but most of which will polish out.
That one's come from a different angle.
Yeah.
But in general, looking down the panels of the car, the near side looks quite straight.
Apart from that.
One tiny ding there.
Oh, that's the one that did the light as well, isn't it? Clearly.
Quite lightly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, quite lightly. Get it?
Very good, very good. Yes.
Rear end of the car. Well, that's all there.
It's all there. Yeah, it's all
Maybe
there.
the cracking in the reflective section of the number plates. That might be an MOT failure.
Actually, that might be an MOT failure, mightn't
Yeah,
it?
so it could be an MOT plate needed there.
Although I know for a fact that it's just got an MOT.
Okay.
So
Maybe it's been
there was a
lenient.
really interesting thing with these. I mean, it is a bit of a digression, but the maybe I should say about it later. But they had a catalytic converter on these that was sought after as a resale item. So people would
Find
steal
people
them.
with nefarious interests.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because they were hybrids, they hadn't had the flow of gas through them that the equivalent 08 car would have through them. But they were made in a certain way that they had a resale value. And gangs used to go round London. So we came out. Kira and I came back to the car one day, and there was a load of builders standing around it, and I was like, "All right, mate." And he said, "Yeah, you should have seen it. There was 4 of them with baseball bats. They stood round the car while another one went under with a reciprocating saw and cut your exhaust pipe." And I was like, "You what?" He said, "Yeah, they cut your catalytic converter off." And I looked underneath, and there was just nothing. They just
nicked it.
They nicked it, yeah. But the same happened to this one up in London.
No way.
It was a thing. I don't know how much they were getting for them, but it must have been a considerable amount of money.
A decent catalytic converter can be worth several £100s.
Yeah, well, somebody said to me £300 to £500 when I looked into it.
Yeah, genuine ones, as in not aftermarkets.
Yeah.
They're often the most valuable, but there's many different types. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm digressing. Sorry, I'm digressing
we are
from
digressing into the risks of owning a car with expensive components on.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they don't nick alloy wheels anymore, do they? Or radios.
No,
it's
they don't
the
nick
cats.
radios, it's the cats,
Or,
yeah.
Front and back end kits. I mean, people.
I tell you what, the driving home after they'd nicked the cat, it really highlighted how little the engine comes on. If you're really light-footed And we drove most of the way back until we got to the A3.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're light-footed, the engine doesn't come. Of course, when the engine came on, it sounded like a drag racer. It's a V6 with no silencing whatsoever.
Pretty impressive, yeah. I mean, it's kind of nice for a laugh for a minute.
Yeah.
And then when you've got to go all the way down to the A-road, like,
It does get a bit much, doesn't it?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry,
anyway,
digressing. Yeah.
Around the car.
So let's get to the offside, driver's side.
Offside, rear corner, straight and clean.
Yeah, straight and clean.
Not so many scratches,
No.
pleasingly.
Isn't that weird? It's good. So all in all, it's pretty much, the exterior is pretty much what you'd expect from a car of this age. In actual fact, it's probably better than you would expect, isn't it? Should we have a look inside? Have you ever been in one?
I haven't. I'm going to jump in.
Go on, you jump in, because I've driven that one. I drove it down.
I mean, it looks like I already have, because, I'm not known for, taking my work trousers off before I get into nice cars. And that seat, the driver's seat, is filthy.
Well, is it filthy or is it something... Do you know those jeans, those sort of indigo jeans that you're told to not wash but put in the freezer? You know about that, don't you?
No.
It is the thing.
Everything I own needs washing thoroughly. It needs sterilising,
Regularly.
washing thoroughly, steaming, and then doing with a hot iron.
They transfer dye, but actually there's a bit of... Something's going on with this leather, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's...
That's right. The colonisation at the top here is wearing thin.
Yeah.
You can see this car's done a bit of work.
Yeah, you really can from the interior. Although it's smart, the keys are there. It's smart, isn't it?
It is. It's a nice leather interior. Mileage is...
Yeah, 126, isn't it?
126,000.
So that's all right, isn't it? It's not, I mean...
That's still a very young car.
Yeah. I was looking at these online before we came down, and there was an '08 one on there for 5,500.
Okay.
Which I think is actually... I think that means they hold their value quite well, doesn't it?
That's still quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
How was that car described? Because, this car... I don't think this car would be capable of achieving that in its present state.
No, I think... With the interior like it is, that would be the thing, wouldn't it? That would be the thing that lets this car down.
I've just noticed another bit on that.
Yeah, there's another tear there. I've been staring at that as well. And there's some on the centre console down the side there.
There is, yeah. Somebody's been moving bricks around in this.
Yeah.
Is he a builder?
No, he's not. No, but that's what did for ours. Putting boards in it, long planks in it. And they've got sharp edges, haven't they?
They have, yes. And they take out headlinings quite readily.
They do take out headlinings, yeah.
Okay, right. So I haven't heard what the engine's like. We don't know what the mechanics are like downstairs.
No, but the engine's smooth, absolutely smooth.
Right.
I mean,
Shall I fire it up now?
Yeah, sure. It won't run because it's hybrid.
That's engine running.
It'll just say ready. Yeah, all it says is ready.
Well, that's taken the fun out of it for me. You can tell I've never owned a hybrid, can't you? Right, well, I'll switch ignition back off.
But they with the Lexus say that these batteries have a life. They say that the life is 150,000 miles or 15 years.
I've heard that, yes. It's 15 years or 150,000 miles, which is pretty good going, isn't it?
I researched them and to how much they were, and it was much more to buy them than the car was worth.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So that sort of is the end of the car. Once your batteries are gone, I mean, you could buy them secondhand, but then it's an unknown quantity because they've not got mileage counters on them. You don't know how many miles, how many hours they've run for. So, can you tell?
You know how many miles the car's done.
But sir, it was running lovely when it came in.
Yes, of course it was. It was great when I parked it up.
Yeah.
But let's go to the only bit that we do know and we can gauge on this car. External appearance.
Yeah.
It seems to be generally okay.
Yeah.
We've now looked at its internal appearance.
We actually haven't said, have we, that these are, because you can get... I think you can get several different colours of seats, but these are the light tan ones. Would you say that was light tan? Actually, you're colourblind, aren't you?
I'm not colourblind.
I thought you were colourblind.
No.
Okay.
I'm just ginger.
What colour?
So do you think I've got going against me?
What colour do you think?
I've got a fine view of car. I'm 2020.
Are you?
Yeah.
So, I would say that was light tan, would you? I don't know.
It's a sort of
buff colour, isn't it?
It's a sort of, it's difficult to describe.
I can't describe it because I'm colourblind.
Are you? You're kidding me.
I'm not.
Oh, crikey. I was wondering why you wore such unusual coloured hats. I would say so it's sort of light tan sandstone, limestone, a bit not
Manila.
limestone.
Anyway, it's showing its age, whereas I think if it was a black or charcoal option, it wouldn't be showing its age.
That's elephant's breath, that is. That colour. That's what elephant's breath looks like.
I
You ask them.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
But it's true, isn't it? It's a. If you're going to have a car for a long time, this colour of seat is not. They're leather. I mean, I'm sure they're very fine quality. They're very comfortable, actually.
Yeah, I think they're filthy dirty.
They are filthy
And
dirty.
the back is far, far worse, and it's torn. So some serious work needs to go on in here, and some serious sourcing of second-hand seats.
To replace an interior is expensive. If people know what these seats are worth, or, and there's a lot of bits that need to be replaced. You need to replace the armrest on that side, which is split. You need to replace the cheek of the centre console. You need to replace the back squabs, the front one. It's a lot, isn't it?
I think the only seats in this car, from my actual sort of viewpoint at the moment, is the passenger seat, and even that looks doggy.
Shall we shelve that and have a look under the car? Another cup of tea?
Yes.
Is this another break for a potential sponsor, do you think?
Come on, adverts. We need some adverts in this voice, and make adverts comes from sponsors. If you'd like to be a sponsor, this is your fantastic opportunity right now.
Come on. Right, so we're back. We're back with our black Lexus RX 400h 09 plate.
Hybrid.
Yes, hybrid. We've been round.
Wonderful shoot and brake.
Been round the outside, which and now we've been through the inside. We're going to have a look underneath, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's.
Right, there's one for you.
Thank you. Yep. So
You good?
that's on there. You all right?
Yeah, I found a good jacking point here.
Okay, come on then. Let's go up.
Of course, quite a heavy car.
Yeah, I don't know what the weight is, but it's got to be a couple of tons, hasn't it?
It's got to be, yeah. Well, I think they say, cars with batteries have always got some weight. You're carrying around a tremendous amount of other clobber as well.
Yeah, you really are. Right, we're going to put axle stands under because nobody likes crawling around under a car without an axle stand.
Yeah. Limited areas to put them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm going to go... Right. I have gone for the rear subframe.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let me see here. Well, I can't really get under. Oh, that was close.
Did that almost hit you in the...
Nearly hit me in the tooth.
Ooh.
I know, can you imagine? That would definitely
and
take
we're
a
doing this to be safe, Gus.
Yeah. Can you go up a fraction on this and I'll see if I can get... No, I've got it, Will.
You good?
No, I'll have to go down a fraction or up a fraction. I think I'll probably have to go down a fraction.
Yeah, let's bring the car to the stand. I'm just going to take the weight off this jack a little bit. Okay. So the axle stand is just
touching it. Okay, I'm going to do the same. Oh,
right. I'm good.
I'm good. Okay,
right.
Jack it back up so it takes a strain. Right, got it.
We are now considering that safe.
Yes. Right, let's get under and have a look, shall we? I'm going to take this out of here so we can get under. Well, this is cosy, isn't it?
Well, I've got to say, I chose the boring bit underneath.
But that's where the batteries are.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at a great big plastic shield underneath the car. Is that the batteries or... Oh, what was that noise?
That was you picking at something. No, that's not
batteries.
That's not the batteries. No, the batteries are above that. Yeah. They're on the bolted to the floor. I think that's the fuel tank, isn't it?
So I'm just looking at the fuel tank. Right. Okay. Brilliant. I've got the interesting end. Oh, no, I haven't. Hold on a minute.
You've got all the gubbins down there.
Oh, yes. Guess what I've got?
Well, you've got the gearbox.
But that is electric motor.
Oh, you've got the electric motor, yes.
Yeah. And it's so... Right, okay. Oh, I get it. Oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah, so that's how... it powers the rear.
Yeah.
The rear wheels, yeah.
The electric motor here, front-wheel drive on the engine.
Yes. Yeah.
I naturally assumed Because, do you know what? With all of this, we've not actually popped up the bonnet yet and actually taken a look at the actual engine to see what's going on.
There's not a lot to see in there, to be fair.
Well, you do, you know, it's a sea of black plastic under there. So on the back axle, I can clearly see that's where the electric motor is. So that's the propulsion for that side of stuff.
Yep.
Travelling forwards to your end at the front. What can you see up there?
Well, I've got... Oh, let's get over. You've got... you've got the engine. You've got a diff here with... well, that's the front-wheel drive from the engine. So that's directly connected via a gearbox there, which drives the engine, the front wheels. The front wheels driven off the petrol engine, like you say.
Yeah.
And then, they obviously put another catalytic converter on it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because you can see where it's been sawn off.
Oh, crikey, yeah, it's been welded in there.
Welded back in, yeah.
We shouldn't be laughing, Gus.
No, we shouldn't.
Be laughing.
But it's quite cheeky, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of people up and down the country that are going to be absolutely seething.
Yeah.
That their cat's got nicked. This is the problem. This is why what we need in our life is a car lift. We need a ramp for lifting these cars up on. We've been without one for so long.
But actually, I mean, there is a bit of rust down that side, isn't there?
There is. I can see where somebody's jacked it up badly on the sill, on the rear part of the sill in the past, and they've bent
That's
the
what
folded
started
edge.
it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what
Scratched
started
the panes,
You've done it on
forming a
both
bit of rust.
sides.
Yeah, this is just the same. Look.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a common problem, but I can see on both sides that, yes, there's been damage to the paint, and yes, it's caused a bit of surface rust in that area.
Yeah.
And a bit of bending of the edge of the sill, which is not good.
It's not good.
So that'll need a bit of straightening, and it'll need a bit of paint just to bring it back up to a
bit of wire brushing and a bit of some sort of preservative on there to stop it coming back.
Yeah. So I can now see the entire drive chain at the back.
Yeah.
So the drive couplings are coming out of the electric motor area. The gators look very good on the inside and on the outside as well, on both sides. The yaw linkages look good. The drop linkages look good. Oh, I'm wobbling the drop linkages at the moment, see if there's any play in them.
Yeah, and?
Can't feel any play in those at all.
Good.
There's a lot of linkage for the suspension, which is very Toyota.
Yeah.
It's well-designed kits. So I would say, in general, this back end appears to be in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
Visually, it looks okay.
I think that you're starting to come to the conclusion, aren't you? Well, we are starting to come to the conclusion that this car is well designed, well built, with good quality parts. Yes. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this durable thing that seems to be standing the test of time well.
Yeah. Shall we open the bonnet and have a look?
I think that's a great idea.
I'll go and pop it. Let's just move that out the way.
Pop it. Okay. It's always the test, isn't it? Can you find the widget?
It's there. You got it?
Yes, I've got it. That was easy.
Yeah.
Oh. Normally it's a sea of black plastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this has actually got some painted bits and a nice metallic silver with Lexus Hybrid Drive written on it.
So that's where the orange cables are coming from, isn't it?
Yeah. Orange cables on electric cars mean...
Don't touch.
That's where the main power is. That's your charge wires and your delivery wires.
Yeah, exactly.
So watch out for those. So that, I would say, that's all the control units inside of there.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
So we're under the bonnet looking at the right-hand side, so the passenger side, because we're facing the car. There's a great big sort of aluminium cast box with what looks like a metal tin lid on it. And we're assuming that's part of the main charging system and probably the control part of the charging system. On the driver's side...
That's where the battery is.
Conventional starter battery.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do some old-fashioned check, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's check the oil and water.
Yeah, well...
No contamination in there.
Yeah, I know I know the state of the oil because I checked it this morning.
That's actually
it's
quite
not
nice
too
and
bad,
clean, isn't it? Well, I can't see any nasty oil contamination in there.
No. It looks
You
all right,
know,
doesn't it?
we're kind of, it seems funny actually to me. Even on a modern car, you're still checking for your old-fashioned things. Contaminated oil, that's the coolant header.
Yeah.
On the passenger side. Oh, fuse box.
Oh, there's a million of them. There's
Is that supposed to make that noise?
Yeah, I think so. It's not broken. But there's one here. There's one under there.
Yeah.
Which is relays, and then there's a big one in the footwell.
Okay. Well,
They're all, and that's another little. That's relays in there as well.
I don't think there's a terrible amount to learn from
No,
that.
not really. I mean, I've not been through them on this one, but on our one over the years, I've had to Google where certain things were. But that's the voyage of discovery of owning a car, isn't it?
It all looks like a nice, honest car that's hardly ever been messed with. There's no visible signs of anybody having any spanners on it.
No, there's not, is there? That's a testimony to them again, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
it is. These things are built to last, and it works well.
Yeah. So it all depends, as it always does, really, on how much you're going to get this car for, isn't it? That's the nub of it all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then you can work out how much you've got to spend on it to get it to where you would want it to make. I mean, if in top nick, say this car was worth, I say 5.5, maybe 6 at a push.
I think the car in general is quite solid.
Yes.
It's the interior that lets it down.
It does.
Broken lights, set of discs at the front.
Yeah.
Well, the discs standard
Yeah, they're just.
service components. So it's the interior.
The interior is going to be a problem, and I suppose what I should have done really before I got down here is worked out how much you would be able to buy an interior for. But we don't know that. But there's other variables. We don't know how much we would get the car for. But the interior is going to be the thing, isn't it? To change that interior out.
I think if we were to just put our finger up in the air and come up with an estimate of what we could throw at the interior,
Yeah.
and what we feel like we think it might cost us 500 quid to get enough bits to make that look tidy.
Yeah, I reckon it would as well.
So let's call that 500 quid.
Yeah.
We need a rear light as well. I can't imagine that that's going to be a bank breaker.
No. Although, just as an example, these mirrors, these are the rear view mirrors on our Lexus 400, RX 400. The rear view mirrors, the glass is gel filled.
Oh, I know. Mercedes have that as well.
Yes, so it's gel filled, and the gel heats up, and that's how they achieve heated mirrors.
Yeah.
So a Lexus replacement mirror was £300 for the glass.
Yeah, we've got to go second hand on all of our bits.
Yeah.
So let's say on the lens, on the lights, were we talking 60 quid? I'd expect to get a light.
I'd say so. Yeah, I think you probably would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if it was a cheap knockabout car, you'd be looking at 20 or 30 quid.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Lexus, so I'm doubling it and adding a bit. So let's go with that.
And also, let's not forget, by the time you've washed it, polished these lights up, that makes a lot of difference to the front of a car, the way it shows, doesn't it? When you clean the fogging off the front of those lights, and it gives it a sharp look again, doesn't it?
So all of that goes really well with our ethos.
It does.
Yeah, this car needs time.
Yeah.
Which is
fine.
Standard 5 days, which we work with. Let's group all that together and shave a bit off, because I think we've been quite generous with our interior thing.
I think so as well.
Should we say 600 quid we've got to spend on it?
I reckon, yeah. 600 quid, and if you could get it.
That's it. I can see you're struggling at the moment. What are we going to pay for it, and how much are we going to get for it?
Exactly. Best one in the world, 6 won't be the best one in the world, but it'll be very presentable. Yeah. And the mileage, 120. See, I don't bulk at that.
No.
But if you're buying an 09 car, I don't think anyone's really going to bulk at that, because they have a reputation, don't they?
Let's sort of say that we might be aiming the brackets of sort of 4.5.
I reckon, yeah.
Yeah. Are we hoping to get this car for less than £2,000, or are we going to have to pay more? If we got it for around about £2,000, and if we sold it for 4.5, and we've spent 600 quid on bits, and we've put our 5 days into it, looking at something just under £2,000 in potential profit.
Yeah.
Now that seems like a lot, But I think we need to put the time into this car, cleaning it and working it, because
definitely.
it does need considerable amounts of work on the inside of the car. So I don't think that sounds greedy. So
I don't think it's greedy, and it always works out less.
So,
it always works out less because we never manage to sell them for what we want.
No,
that's just the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So being greedy is being hopeful.
Exactly. Yeah.
And reality is that it's not going to be that. Shall we do it? Would we do it?
Well, that's the key question, isn't it? And I would definitely think we would do it. I would definitely go with this car. I think it's got the right basis for something to make a bit of money on.
I'm of that opinion too. Okay.
And even if you don't make any money, it'll be a great car.
Yeah, I'll enjoy driving around for the week or two that we've got it. Or the week, if we're really, really lucky, we might be able to sell it at the end of the week. Okay, let's do it. Let's have a word with your friend and see what it would take, parts with it.
Yeah. Good. Right. That's it. We're done. Until next time, we're going to end up with
So whose turn is it next time? Well, let's wait and see.
Well, it's your turn, really.
It is, yes. Well.
Okay. Good.
Thank you very much.
And you. See you later. Thank you, everybody.
Flipping Bangers podcast features Gus Gregory and Will Trickett. It's produced by Dan Allen and is a Just Might TV production. International copyright is asserted and all views stated are personally held. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please visit flippingbangers.com. Thanks for listening.